Very uncomfortable. Didn't like it at all. I screamed a little bit, and Hope was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And she kind of held the lip apart for a couple of contractions. Um, so the pain was interesting when the lip was obstructing. There was a pinching type of pain every time the contraction came in.
Yeah. This is the Birth Agni podcast, the fire that brings us alive, that burns myths and opens a channel of authentic natural birth stories. This show debunks the many myths of the medicalized births, showcases the plethora of choices a pregnant couple can make to embark on their empowered birth journey. I'm Divya Kapoor, a certified birth and lactation counselor and an aspiring traditional birth attendant. Let's get the flames blazing high. This is part 2 of Ariel and Nitin's home birth story, where Ariel takes us through the entire experience of labor with the minutest of details. She explains what she felt at different times during labor, from the beginning to the end, when she had the baby, what that felt like, what right before, when there was a cervical lip, what that felt like. So hop on to immerse yourself in this experience with Ariel. If you like the podcast and the stories we bring on, please consider giving this a rating or review on Apple or Spotify. Also, please consider giving us a donation to continue the free resource that this is. You can find the donation link in the show notes, as well as you can go to the website and find the donation link on the page where you find the podcast itself. Thank you so much for listening. I feel a great vibe too, and right before this, we've already had a good chunk of conversation about birds and about unpredictability, about surrender, about being flexible for how birth is going to be.
Yeah.
And today we are going to listen to your birth story in detail, like the experience of the labor and how it began, and when was it, what were you doing, when it started, what did you think of, and what were your measures to work with it, and yeah, how was it? And how many weeks along were you?
I think to start off with sort of the birth, it's it's interesting. So it's a Friday, Divya. So I start with how far along I was. I was to the day 40th week um, when I gave birth. So pretty much full term. And Ira, my daughter, was a uh, what's it due date baby. And they say that research says that there's only 3% of babies that are born on the due date. So, anyways, I say that, and a couple of days before labor started, um, and that entire last week, actually, week 39, 38, I always had this feeling that you know, she might come at week 41, maybe 42, because she was just always a very, just a calm presence inside me, not uh, too fidgety, too kicky. She's very, very comfortable inside me. So something made me feel that she might go a little over. And plus, anyways, my midwife had told me that, the first one can always, be a bit later, or be quite, early. So you don't know. So week 37 onwards, you're pretty much on the watch to see what it was. Um, so yeah, for me, it was really, I don't know. I thought I was hoping, I was putting my wishes out into the universe, and I said, if I can get one more week, what I'm gonna do with that week is to just sleep, rest before baby comes. I probably listen to more podcasts, maybe one more story, one more birth story of someone. maybe one more week to put my leg up. I used to lie down in the bed with my feet upright, uh, to sort of, I don't know, just allow my lower back to kind of relax. And I used to enjoy that so much. And I was like, I just wish I had one more week of this. And 2 days before the due date, which is the 10th of March, um, she was born on a Sunday, the Friday before. Nitin and I decided to go out for dinner because we had a voucher that was expiring. And we decided, hey, you know what? It's Friday. Why not? The last few weeks of us being just the two of us, why not, go out, and made an appointment. I didn't think too much of it. I was like, okay, I'm feeling really good. I was feeling really good in my body, even at week 39. Had dinner, enjoyed ourselves. We spent a couple of, hours there, got back home. We have a little puppy, Sheru. We wanted to walk him, which is our usual. We walk him at night. And so we walked him around the house. And as we did that, midway of the walk, I experienced some fluid release. And the first thought that came to my mind was, oh, no, this is not happening now. I need one more week to sleep.
That's so cute.
And then I caught myself in that thought when that thought happened, because I was like, hey, isn't the whole point about whatever I have gathered in terms of information is to just let go and let whatever unfolds. And I caught myself in that thought when I thought about it. And I was like, I hope I just get a few more nights of good sleep, uninterrupted, unbroken, whatnot. And then as I took a few more steps and we walked along, um, I just felt something kind of release in me. Like, um, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like an arm or something of the baby kind of just, or maybe the baby dropping further down in, or some sort of a sensation that, made me feel like there was some sort of a release inside me. And then I thought, oh, okay, I think we're on. This is definitely, we're on to something, right? I'm not feeling any cramps at this stage. I'm not feeling any of that. It's literally everything that I just sensed. One is the release of fluids. The second is this arm or something releasing inside, right? It could have even been the initial sac. There's actually, so that gave me the message that something's starting. And from, look, a lot of the stories that I'd heard, you don't know when labor starts. It can go on for just a few hours, and you're probably, baby's out. You're lucky, or you're still lucky. It could go on for days. Where you have contractions through the night, and then it kind of just quietens down over the day, because we have, birth is stronger in terms of, your how your physiology works when the sun sets and it's all dark and it's quiet and it's calm,
Yeah.
compared to when it's all
Noisy and
noisy. And so I'd
correct.
heard of this, right? And so these two things happen, and then I tell myself, okay, so I think something started. So I we swiftly walk back home. Um, and then I think to myself, okay, I'm just going to observe. But while I do that, why don't I just text my midwife? And I texted Hope, my midwife. Um, and she said, what was the, like, was it a gush, or was it a, just a trickle? I was like, I don't know what you, like, so she said, like, was it a complete release, like a fluid, or, you know, is it still, so I said, like, it's hard to say. There's enough fluid to say that there's something. So she said, okay, you just want to take rest and sleep through the night and try and catch up with some rest. And if you feel you need You need me, message me. It could be so, it may not also be so, right? So there's no need to worry about it. Then she asked me about a couple of things about, you know, do you have a release of anything, or, what's the color of the fluid and the rest of it. So, anyways, there's also a little kit that she'd given me, which was part of our home birth kit. Lovely kit they send you home, which has everything that you need, including your postpartum um, items.
Yeah.
So postpartum items would include your, herbal um,
That's
sitz bath um, blend of herbs, which includes garlic and a lot of different herbs meant for sort of healing of your perineum. Um, and then they've got these sort of, you know, maternity pads and everything. And then plus they have gloves and, a little testing kit. And when the baby arrives, they've got this little head measurement thing. And literally, they've got everything set up for you, which they basically ship to you once you decide that you want to do a home birth. And so within that kit, there was a little testing kit for amniotic fluid, if it was
oh.
amniotic fluid,
Hmm.
or whatever it is.
Urine. Yeah.
So she said, "Why don't you check?" And I said, "Yeah, I will." And I don't know, Divya. I think I was in denial. I was like, "I'm not going to check it," and I went to bed. So this is about 10:30. I went to bed. I started to feel a little bit of tightness. Um, Through that night. Tightness is in sort of, period like mild period like cramps. Nothing crazy. Slept, but I slept light because I knew that I wasn't in the same place I was all these nights, which is that calm. I'm still. What was baby doing? Ira wasn't doing anything actually. She just kind of just, I think, also went to bed. As I went to bed, she wasn't moving. Nothing was happening, right? Um, so it's pretty calm. Maybe a few movements here, a few wriggles here and there, and that's it. Some tightness. Woke up the next morning. I didn't feel energetic as I normally. The period cramps were still there. Um, and also, I was kind of in denial. I was like, I can't believe it. Like, I'm not going to get my few more days to just be by myself and a sense of that, and then mild sense of fear as well, because here I am. I haven't told my mother my due date. My mother isn't even in the same country. She's overseas. She's in India. Like, she would have to visit me. um, But she doesn't know my due date because I've withheld that information from everyone. I've given them dates that are different so that I don't get calls, and everyone's asking me about where the baby is, or how I'm doing, or there's just so much curiosity, right? I really just wanted to be in my shell. That was my intention, and anyways, I told Nitin it's likely going to start the night before, and he was like, I think he went into like overdrive nesting mode the
Yeah.
next day, because he just organized a bunch of things. I saw him like, walking around and running around trying to figure out the birth pool by himself, trying to figure out. He walked the dog in the morning, he walked Sheru, brought him back. I wasn't feeling up to it. I thought I'd go out. And then I said, you know what? I don't know. It might be this afternoon or this later this evening that I've given birth. So I think I'll just stay in bed because I felt like staying in bed. Um, and so the day progressed into me taking multiple mini naps and just being, comforted in my bed. Took few showers, hot showers, steamy showers. Did a little bit of aromatherapy with some eucalyptus and things like that in the shower, which was lovely. So it just kind of made me be in a space where I was just feeling comforted. I was trying to comfort myself and not be fearful of the fact that it's kind of I am in
Happening.
labor, right?
Yeah.
So whatever I told my midwife, she confirmed that morning, saying, I think it's happening. Yes, I think you're there, but you got to rest and just take it easy, my dear, is what she said. And I said, yeah, I'll take it easy. She said, keep me posted. I said, I'll keep you posted. So I texted her every 3, 4 hours just to let her know. Um, so I think evening approached and things started to get a little bit intense when the evening approached. And here we were. I didn't have an appetite at all. I didn't feel like
Uh-huh.
eating
Through the day.
through the day.
Yeah.
I had read that, well, you better eat up
Eat. Yeah, absolutely.
and hydrate
Yeah.
but because you're going to need all of that. And for labor to kind of progress, you need at least
Drink.
little snacks, like whatever they could be, right? You can't obviously have an entire meal. I mean, if you felt like it, yes, you can. I think I was just so in my mind, Divya. Like I was just so all of the feelings, right? Like what is this? I've never experienced this. Oh my God, like, there's some anxiety, there's some fear, there's a little bit of everything, right? There's a little bit of excitement, there's a little bit of anticipation. I don't know what's next. Oh, is this the most intense it's going to get? Or is it going to get, even, you know,
Lighter. Maybe
when?
next day. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, when? When is it going to happen? Is it going to happen tonight?
Yeah.
So all these
Ariel,
questions keep circling.
I wanted to ask you here that were you still having the trickle or the leaking of the fluid, or had it stopped after the first gush or the first amount that came out?
So the minute the first gush started, I put on the maternity pants, and so I knew what color it was, and kind of just being able to kind of let my midwife know through text messages, and so the trickle continued through the next day. Um,
So it was there.
but it wasn't. So she said until you come to the sort of the 4 minute where you're having
Hmm.
contractions until
Every
that.
4 minutes.
Yeah, every
Hmm.
4 minutes, and it has to last over a minute
Yeah.
or at least up until a minute.
Yeah.
You message us then, or message me and Melanie. Melanie is Hope's midwife assistant, but she's also a doula, and so a birth doula. And so I had engaged Melanie because I just wanted as few people as possible, apart from Nitin. Um, Sheru. Sheru is such a love bug. He just hung around in my corner the whole time. I call him my oxytocin machine.
How sweet.
His cuddles were like he was totally like in my plan, Divya, that I wrote for my birth. And so something that I'd written down in that was, who's part of your birth team was one of the questions. And, obviously I took a long time to come up with who they were. You go through a reflective journey and you want the people that, that that would make you feel supported, but in an empowering way, right? And later, I mean, my mother wasn't there on it, right? I had mixed feelings about it. I kind of felt like I felt bad in a way, but I also felt like I knew my mother. Uh, I know that my mother would be very, very stressed in a home birth setting, in a very different country. um, and so that energy might not be conducive to me, right? And so I spent so much time actually reflecting about it, and it makes me feel so good that we spoke about it later, and my mother was like, oh my God, you did me such a huge favor. Thank you so much.
That's so
Because I don't
sweet
know
of
if I would
you.
have been able to, you know
Yeah.
um, show up for you in a way that you would have needed for the decision that you made, which is in full autonomy, in full, you know, um,
Power.
yes, from a place where I was going into the unknown. It was like I was going into battle, Divya, and I had no idea what my powers were, right? Because I've never done this before. Um, um, I all I had was all the birth stories of every woman that I'd heard on podcasts, listened to on audiobooks, which truly empowered me, and the story of my own grandmother who'd given birth to 9 children at home. Uh, and so, with knowing all that, I borrowed power from all of those people, right? That it's possible, and that's the story I kept telling myself, right? It was really more of my mind going into places the first several hours. The sensations were there. Yes, there was tightness. It was getting tighter and tighter and tighter. By the Saturday evening, I'd spent most of the day in bed. I don't know. I have no idea what Nitin was doing. He was uh, he was in organization mode. At least that's the energy I experienced. He brought me some lunch. He brought me some dinner, which was just some dal and rice that evening. He had made some dal and rice for me. How lovely. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful to have him, in my life. And he basically put it in a bowl, in a little tiny bowl, and he was like, just have a tiny amount. And I was like, I'm just don't have any appetite. And he was like, a little bowl? I was like, okay, a little bowl. So he, brought me some food. I remember eating that. I was sitting on the birth ball. My room, by the way, had all been set up. Uh, and I'd listened to so many birth stories where women had set up their birth environments in the most creative ways. So I had set up my room in with twinkle lights um, that Nitin had basically purchased, and we had a little what is it? A light type of light that basically I don't know, like
Illuminates the room or in a way
illuminates
to.
the room, but it's kind of so we put it in a mode where it was almost um, like the northern lights uh, projected onto our ceiling, and as it started to get dark, it was really mild. I had my affirmation cards, my birth affirmation cards. Um, I think I need to basically link this in the resources as well. There's a lovely artist who makes lovely birth affirmation cards in Arizona. I found her on Etsy, um, and she makes the most loveliest sketched illustrations of women in different states of birth. And it's a pack of cards, and you basically go through the entire deck and you figure out which ones you resonate with the most. And I had basically hung up 9 cards that resonate with me the most in the last. So I had those clipped up ready in a corner somewhere. Um, we had set up the space in a way where, there was just very minimal things on the floor and, you know, maybe a couple of yoga mats here and there, and that's it. Um, and then we had a hook installed on the ceiling for baby actually when baby arrives, but also for birth. In South America, they have this long piece of fabric called the rebozo. The idea is to sort of hang, with both your hands and allow your entire body weight to rest on your arms. It was meant for baby. It was meant for Ira, because we wanted to put her in a sari,
Chula.
jula. Yeah,
Like a
we wanted to put
sling.
her in a nice cotton
Yeah.
sari
Yeah.
that my mother had sent me, and so we had that, the rebozo set up, my birth ball, and in the room with the lights on that Saturday evening. So this is the environment with my birth cards. I read them several times that day, because I'm trying to keep my mind in the most calmest possible place. It's 9 p.m. I was becoming a bit nervous, as it started to get stronger and stronger. Like I was thinking, okay, is it going to be tonight? Is it going to be at 10 o'clock? Is it going to be at 12? Or is it going to be at 3 a.m. in the morning? I don't know. So, anyways, I text my midwife. Even just seeing her will make me feel a little better. So, actually, are you coming down? Is what I asked her, via text. And Hope immediately called me. She called me and she wanted to hear my voice because both Hope and Melanie were like, we don't want to come sooner because you don't want to be feeling like a watched pot. That can also slow labor down. So we
Yes.
want to arrive at the right moment.
Yep. I love that. And I want to say that a great midwife, of course, my heart goes out to all the women who are doing this work, and I so appreciate them. But a midwife that knows that she herself can be an intervention
Yes,
is so surrendered to supporting the woman. She is the best support you can ask for.
it was lovely, Divya. I felt a womanhood connection to these women. I cannot even explain to you. It was a mind to mind. I can look you in the eye and you know what I am going to say, type of a communication with them. So I am so grateful to have found these people. Yes, so she said you don't want to be feeling like a watch pot, so we will arrive when the time is right. But we will know when the time is right when either you call me or Nitin calls me, right? So I said, I'd really like to, just, are you coming down? As my message to her, and she immediately calls me, and I answer the phone, and I'm like, Hope, I'm not really feeling that great, and I don't know, am I going to see you? And she said, I don't really, do a visit just before. I come when the time is right. I think I'll feel really good if I just saw your face, is what I said. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. You know what? It'll be fine. Don't worry. It'll be okay. Right. And then I took that as there's several few more hours to go. So she's not going to be ready to come just yet, which is Ira. Baby is not ready to come as yet. So probably Hope's also, not coming. And I think 15-20 minutes from that call. So Nitin answered the door, and Shero went nuts because he's been seeing both Hope and Melanie since week 34. They've both been coming home, and every other week, and then every week after week 36. So he's so excited to see Hope, and she slowly walks up. I'm in my room with my lights. At this point, I'm lying down in bed, with my, blanket and my duvet, and cozy underneath that. Um, and then I feel she strokes my head, and then she has this amazing way of kind of massaging your neck and your back. So she sits next to me in the bed, and she's like, "How are you feeling, my dear?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, I feel so good just seeing you." And she said, I think, well, it could be any time now. I think, I think it's happening. So I look at her and I say, "You sure it's happening?" And she's like, "Well, there's all the signs that you are in labor. I think it's happening." And then she's like, "Could I take a look at the discharge and what color is it and any pads that you've kept away somewhere?" And I said, "Yeah, I have, and it's in the bathroom." And then she went around, did a quick inspection, took a look around, did all of that, came back, and she said, "Yep, I think it's happening. I think you're in labor." And then she said, "You just want to rest? Call Melanie tonight when you need her." Melanie is my doula. Hope left. She was literally there for about 10-15 minutes. Um, so 10 p.m. and I feel like, hey, the contractions are pretty strong now. Still a little bit irregular in terms of time and the rest of it. And I'm still feeling like I'm here in the room, right? So I'm not anywhere else but very much present in the room. What am I doing at this point? I took another shower, warm one. I am breathing. I'm positively speaking to myself. I'm also telling myself that it's okay, that I don't know the outcome of this, right? I don't know how long, I don't have the answers, but it's okay. But it's okay. This is what I'm telling myself
Mhm.
inside. And so at about 10:30, I message Melanie and I let Melanie know they're getting pretty strong. But I let you know when I need you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel overwhelmed that it's actually happening.
Yeah.
Part of me was like, I'll probably just see how long I can go without having anyone. Nitin was coming in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good thing.
I didn't know at the time if it was good or bad, but I just knew that Hope and Melanie were pretty much 10 minutes away from getting to me. And at that point in the night, there's probably not going to be any traffic. Um, Melanie has three other children of her own under 10. So I was very aware that I didn't want to call her at night, you know. So there was that level of awareness inside me too, that I didn't want to bring her away from her kids.
I'd like to
Also,
say awareness as well as compassion, which is so, I mean, amazing, Ariel. I'd like to commend you on that.
oh, thanks, Divya. But I just didn't want to, didn't want. I don't know. There was something inside me that I just didn't feel ready, right? I thought of her. I thought of my point of view, and then I was like, okay, anyways. But she was like, "Look, I've kissed my kids goodnight. They're all tucked in. They're in bed. My husband knows that I'm going on. I'm going for a birth, and you call me anytime." So the strangest part is, every time we texted them, we would get a text right back in a minute, which means they were at their phone. They were there. Just not in the room, right? Like they were there, like we were connected with one another. So a few more hours go by, and contractions are getting stronger, stronger, very uncomfortable. Um, I'm still breathing. I'm moving. I'm sitting on the ball. I get a little stool to sit on at one point, and I basically sit on that stool. And then I move over to the ball, and then I move back into the bed, and then I move over into the ball. So this cyclic moving around is happening. Um, and then at one point, at about 12:30, and poor Sheru was wondering, what on earth is happening? What is going on tonight that
Everybody's up,
that
everybody's
everybody's
moving.
up and she's not, like, she can't settle in the bed. Are you not well? He looks at me several times and he's just right next to my bed. And so he's, uh, but then he comes and he's kind of like, trying to lie at my feet and the rest of it. And so Nitin's already been briefed by Melanie on counter pressure, the rest of it. So he's been up, and I tell Nitin, look, just rest. It's fine. I'm gonna see how long this goes. And at one point, he tried to doze off a little bit, but he kept coming back. Every time I jumped in and out of bed, he got up and around to see what was happening.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think at about 3:30, 4, they were intense. Uh, the contractions, the surges were becoming powerful and powerful and powerful, right? So Nitin woke up. Uh, I say he woke up. I don't think he ever slept that night. He was just trying to lie down and doze off, and just kind of fighting sleep, but also very much present in the room. And at one point, he slept for a little bit, and it allowed me to be in my own space. And I was finding myself being in, out, in my body most of the time,
Mm.
but my mind was just kind of fading because I was feeling tired. I was feeling like I really want to sleep, but I can't be in one position. I have to keep moving. And every movement I made was good for a few minutes, and then it started to get uncomfortable as the contractions started. They were intense, and they started to get more and more intense. I breathed some more, stayed with myself, tried to be as centered as possible. And at this point, at about 3, 4 in the morning, I knew I was definitely in labor. There was no denial about it. But I didn't know what time, right? I kept thinking, what time is it going to come? What time is she going to be born? At about 4:30, I look up at Nitin and I'm like, Nitin, just call Melanie now. Okay.
Mm.
So he was like, okay, so it's 4:30. You think I should call her, or I'll just send her a text now? So he sends her a text. In 30 seconds, she responds at 4:30 in the morning. She says, okay, I'll be there. Um, in 10 minutes, she was here.
Wow. Ariel, were the contractions different during, like in the morning from the time when they began? Like, were you feeling them at another part in your body, and then they progressed, and you were feeling them differently in your belly?
Yeah.
If you could
So when they
expand.
started, the tightening was on the top. Um, and just the general discomfort was in the top part of my belly. And as it got stronger, it started to get gradually go down, right? And the tightness and the discomfort and the intensity was like being felt further down in my pelvic region, much more. Um, at around this time, which is Saturday, actually wee hours of the Sunday morning, right? So
Yeah.
Saturday. Um, but they started off as sort of just very mild period cramps on Friday night, and on and off, not really, much to worry about, to something that I couldn't stop not focusing on.
Yeah.
They got so strong. 4:30 Sunday morning, 4:45, Melanie arrived, and I was on my birth ball. I know, actually, I wasn't even on the birth ball. I couldn't even sit. Had got to a point where if I sat, it was like, oh, I can't. The pressure. So Melanie came with her. She was in her sports clothes, and she had a huge bag. She basically unloaded, and she walked into the room and she's like, "Oh, my dear, how are you doing? How are you doing?" And I just looked at her and I was like, "Oh, it's been a night, Melanie," is what I said to her. And she's like, "You feeling a lot of pressure? Are you feeling a lot of pressure?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, like it's a lot of pressure, right?" And she said, "Are you feeling like pushing? Where are you?" So I said, I don't know. I'm not, I don't know, but I'm feeling a lot of pressure." And so she timed my contractions and she realized that we were in that, you know,
Active labor
1 minute
already.
active, it's
Ah,
happening
closer, very close to birth.
closer, right? So she says, "Okay, I'm going to get set up. Nitin, I need this, and this." And so they both start coordinating with each other. And then she's like, "Okay, let me get you over here." And then she rolls out the my yoga mat, and then she says, "Why don't you come over here into this position? Be on all fours." I'm on all fours. And then she basically says, "Do you feel like pushing? Where are you feeling the pressure?" All of these questions. And I said, "I don't know. It's just pressure all over." It hurts everywhere. And I'm on the floor, all fours. So she's like, "Breathe, counter pressure. Okay, Nitin, stand
Mm,
here, do this,"
yeah.
right? So he's supporting me a ton. And then she's getting everything set up. And so she sets up this bin if I feel like throwing up at some point. So she adds some peppermint oil in there. She says, "Take a deep inhale." She brings some essential oils. And she's basically, she asks me, "Are you okay if I give you, sort of some pressure and some massage?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely." So she kind of, does that. And Sheru's hanging out right next to me. He's curled up and he's just next to me. Um, and so I see all of this commotion happen. And she's like, "Do you feel like pushing? Do you want to try? Do you want to give it a try?" And so I get into a squat and I try pushing several times. And then I think nothing, you
Mm,
know, nothing happens. This is about 5:30 and actually 5:15. Uh, Melanie has been here 30 minutes. She's set up most of the things and she says, "Hang on a minute, I think I should call Hope."
mm,
And so she goes out of the room, calls Hope, and Hope's asking her a bunch of questions, and they are communicating with each other. I can hear them in the distance. And she comes back and she's like, "Okay, I think Hope's going to be here in some time. Do you feel like taking a shower?" And I'm like, I had told Nitin, I said, "I think Melanie is going to come and ask me if I want to take a shower. I'm showered out. I'm not getting into the shower again."
your intuition was bang on.
And then she goes with the flow and she's there. She's sitting next to me. Another 10 minutes. Hope arrived at about 5:30 that morning. Um, and we're all in the room. Melanie's sitting on a stool. The minute she comes in, the first thing she says to me is, and I'm hunched over like this. I'm in the all fours, still on the yoga mat, with my both my elbows hunched down. So she comes and she lays her comforting hand on my back and starts putting pressure. And she kneels down next to me
Mm.
and she's like, "You never called Melanie. I asked you to call Melanie. Are you planning to do this by yourself?" And I just looked at her and I laughed, you know, uh, because part of me, Divya, if I could have done this by myself,
You would have done it.
I think I would have done it in my mind.
That's
I
a
just knew I was probably going to call them at the time when baby was almost out or
yeah.
something, right? Because
Yeah.
that's how much of a private person I am. And I wanted this experience to really just go deep. inside my mind, my soul to, to come out on the other side feeling whatever it is that I felt, right, at that time. And I just
Mm.
wanted to kind of just be there for myself in that way, right?
Yeah.
And so she looked at me. I think she knew. She
The woman
she
in
caught
you.
on to
She
it.
knew. That's the woman in you. That's the primal ancestral self. That's you, Ariel. And I love that so much. Yeah.
So she laughed and I laughed, and then the contraction came again, and it got intense. And anyway, 6:30, no baby. 6:30, Hope said, "Do you mind if I check you? You know, do you?" And until now, I've not had any cervical checks. No one knows how far along I am or not or nothing. Okay, there's nothing that's happened.
Mm.
But from the way that I'm experiencing the contraction, I think Hope had some sort of an idea that she wanted to offer a cervical exam and say, you know, do you want me to check? There was even a point before that, about 30, 40 minutes before that she said, okay, let's set up the birth pool. And Hope had said um, that getting into the pool sooner can also sort of make birth kind of I mean
Longer.
make the progression of labor slower, right?
Yeah.
So getting into it at the right time is important, pretty much at the very end. And so when she said set up the birth pool, I was like, yes, I'm there. And then nothing happened. I was in the birth pool for quite some time, pushed several times. They asked me if I had the urge. She asked me, where are you feeling the pressure? Still feeling very much the pressure around the lower part of my pelvis. And the intensity was really, really strong. I laid in the birth pool. I came out of the birth pool. I just wanted to take a nap. At one point, I laid down and I just took a nap in the birth pool. Um, and so there was a lot of this happening, right? And so at about 6:37, I think 7 almost, Hope says, do you mind if I check you? So I say, yeah, let's go ahead and check. So then she does a cervical exam, and then basically she says, you're about, you know you are fully dilated, about 9.5, 10, but there's a cervical lip that's sort of, keeping the
Blocking
baby
the
from
way.
basically pushing
Yeah.
itself out.
Mm.
And then she gave me a couple of options. She said, look, you're in the birth pool. I can try and hold the cervical lip apart, but it would have to be done over 2 consecutive contractions. So we tried that a few times. Um, It was incredibly painful to do that through the
Intent.
contractions.
Yeah.
I say painful here, but I want to reframe that. Uncomfortable is the word, because it was still bearable. It's just, it was very uncomfortable to do that through the contractions. Um, and, I'm very aware that I don't want anyone to miss sort of understand
Yeah.
pain and discomfort are two different things. It was very much still in the realm of me managing it and still being in my body, right? And so it was very much there. Um, Very uncomfortable. Didn't like it at all. I screamed a little bit, and Hope was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And she kind of held the lip apart for a couple of contractions. Um, so the pain was interesting when the lip was obstructing. There was a pinching type of pain every time the contraction came in.
Yeah. Mm.
And so she asked me, okay, now how do you feel? Now how do you feel? Are you still feeling the pinching? And there was so much soreness at this point from the contractions, but also her keeping, her trying to keep the lip apart, that I wasn't able to tell what it was, right?
Mm.
So she tried for a few contractions, and then I got out of the pool, and then the contractions started to get a little bit slower. So I got into a place where I could basically take a couple of naps, and I took a couple of naps.
Lovely. Were you drinking also in between contractions, having something?
So they were like, okay, honey, do you want some honey? Honey sticks? Do you want some water? And I was like, no, I don't want anything at this point, right? And they're like, Nitin, please get some water. Please get some honey. Will you have a tiny piece of banana? I had two tiny pieces of banana,
Lovely.
some honey, and then I had some mint because I haven't. I felt like I'm like my breath is at an all time smelling horrible right now, and I have so many people next to me, so there's all of these feelings, right? And
Very natural. It's very natural to think of that, and also because you've not been as hydrated. Of course, you must have been trying to keep yourself. So sometimes the ketones, the bitter smell is so
yeah,
strong, and we midwives actually do look for that. So that's our sense. So if I sense that on you, I'll ask you to have something. I'll
yeah,
ask you to have water, hydrate
have
yourself.
water.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what they did. My lips were drying up. They could see that. So definitely brought some water, made me drink that. Coconut water, the other thing was that. So I drank a lot of coconut water. I say a lot, but not really. There were huge glugs of it every now and then that
Yeah.
I took, and took a couple of naps, but couldn't stay in one position from 7, 8 onwards. 8:39, again, no baby. And at this point, I'm really feeling a little bit like I don't know when, right? What can I do now? Right? Is there anything that I can do to kind of make this happen faster? And my mind is starting to think in a way where I'm really doubting if this is you know, maybe I should just go
Yeah.
and go into the hospital. Maybe I should just get a C-section, is what I'm telling myself at this point. Um, and so I asked Hope that. So, okay, so I'm sitting with Hope on the bed, and then I jump up to another contraction, and I'm trying to and then I continue my question, which is, Hope, when is the baby coming home? She's like, I'm sorry, it could be any time now. It's gonna be at some point soon, but I can't tell you the exact time when. I know this is not what we want to hear. And then I was like, Hope, isn't there an easier way? Isn't there an easier way? And she says, I'm so sorry, my dear. I wish I could say yes, but actually there isn't. So then I say, what if I went to the hospital now? What would will they give me will can I ask for a C-section?
Yeah.
So she said, well, we can try. I can go with you, but since you're so dilated, they'll make you push.
Yeah.
And then I think at that point, it didn't occur to me, Divya, but I had read about this. At that point, look, this point, that part of my brain isn't working, right? So, but I had read about this being the transition where the woman tries to run away from this situation, right?
That's the
So I'm
next
lying
trigger.
down in the bed
Yeah.
at one point, and I jump up to the next contraction because when this contraction comes, interestingly, I had so much pressure in the rectum that I really felt like taking a huge poop. Okay. And I jump out of bed and I'm like, I don't want to poop in my room. So I run to the bathroom. And Nitin, I think at about 8, 9, he's like, he has to walk Sheru in the morning. And, so I think there's that conversation that's happening as I was laying in the bed just before I jumped up. And they're like, it could be any time now. We call you. Why don't you just walk Sheru? Keep your phone on you. We'll call you as soon as, she starts to push. So he's taken Sheru out. And as he's gone out, I'm lying down on the bed, and this rectal pressure, the next contraction is so powerful, jump out of bed. Hope is sitting there. She's like, "What happened? What happened?" And I was like, "No, no, no, no. I'll just be back." And I run to the loo, and Melanie's walking upstairs with hot water and
Yeah.
heat, and I've got parts of my TENS machine hanging in one corner, and I basically pluck it out and I throw it somewhere, and I go and I rush into the bathroom. And I sit on the toilet for some time, and I can't, through contractions, I can't even sit on the toilet. I'm like, I have to stand up and just basically allow it to pass, right? It's getting really, really strong where I can't even be in that sitting position. And it wasn't a huge poop at all. There was literally like very little to pass at this time, because my body has done its thing of eliminating all of the waste from the day before, the day, the morning of, and all of the run up to it, that there's just nothing. And I was like, what is happening? I felt like I'm feeling like, so
Big
I'm
poop.
questioning everything that's going on. And then Nitin comes into the bathroom. And Melanie is like, I think both of you need some time together in the bathroom. Why don't you both hang out here and for a little while longer, and then we'll see you out. And I have mirrored doors on my wardrobe, so I can basically see Hope and Melanie sitting on the bed. And as Melanie approaches, she's like, "What happened to her?" And Hope signs to her, saying,
Yeah.
and Melanie's like, and they both give each other a high five. And I'm like, why are they like celebrating the fact that I'm asking for a season?
Yeah, we celebrate that. We know it's just about the next impediment, next rewiring of the brain before you have the baby, and that's the pressure that you feel. And I want to add here that birth is anal. So because
Yeah,
you were feeling so much pressure on the rectum, meaning the baby was right there. The
right
baby
there,
was trying to come out.
right there. So in hindsight, I had read about all this, but I couldn't access that part of my brain, Divya. I had no idea in transition, apart from the fact that I just knew that I had to convince somebody in the room to get me out of here and get me a C-section.
It's so
Um,
classic and it's so good. I mean, to allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling is the best thing. To not, so even if you remembered and if you have stopped yourself from feeling what you were feeling, that was not good. It's good. That's why the brain actually, the logical brain shuts down because you've got to be in your primal. You've got to come through with experience. And that's the beauty of it. And now that you chuckle and laugh at what it said, and that's the story you're going to tell your daughter when she grows up. It's incredible. It's lovely.
oh my goodness, it was quite a journey to get till there. And so, anyways, Nitin comes into the bathroom, and then Melanie's like, "Here, do you want a comb? Here, take a comb. Why don't you hold a comb and hold pressure against this way, this way?" So she turns the comb around and she gives me two combs in both my hands, and I'm like, "The hell, nothing's working. I don't know." And then Nitin's like, so I'm like, this is the last person that I can like, and I'm looking up like this because I'm sitting on the pot, and I'm like, I'm like, Nitin, I can't do this anymore. I think we need to go to the hospital and I need to get a C-section. Like, I'm like, if they are not helping me, I need to make an ally here with Nitin. He's gonna, and he's like, yeah, I mean, really? But you know what? You're so close. You can do this. You can absolutely do this. And I'm like, no, Nitin, I can't. I'm done. I'm exhausted. Everything hurts. And Melanie has basically dissolved a little bit of arnica, which is a homeopathic herbal medicine,
Medicine. Yeah.
to topically apply, uh, you know, uh,
On your
around,
perineum?
yeah, around my perineum because of all
Okay.
of the, especially the lip. So there was some swelling, which it was all feeling sore. And she said, here, I got some arnica for you. Why don't you apply it? And I'm like, what? Like, why? Everything was like a what? Why? I'm not here, Divya. I'm not here. I was in a different place. Um, so, anyways, Nitin's like, you can totally do this. He hugs me. I sit on the pot for a little bit longer and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I think I need to go to the bed. And then I walk over, come back into the bedroom, and Hope is sitting there. And I'm like, Hope, I really need to know if I can go to the hospital. And she said, I can definitely take you, you know, but they will make you push now. And it's going to be assisted pushing, you know? So I say, oh my God. And I break down and I cry. Okay. Um, and I think something changed in my mind at that point because Hope also recalls this very minute, this very moment where it was like a switch got turned on. So I move over from one corner of the bed to the next corner of my bed. And then I feel this crazy urge to push. So I just hold the rebozo. I'm standing there. I push. I squat down. I push. I stand up again to take a deep breath. And this continues for the next some time. What had changed in my mind is I stopped talking to myself completely. And now I'm in surrender mode, which is I have let go of all the talk I was doing to myself, which is initially when labor started, I was telling myself, you've listened to all these stories, you know, this is fine. You've got this. It's fine. It's fine. That's what I kept telling myself to keep myself calm all throughout. When the going got really tough and then I was in transition, I told myself that I need to get out of this situation. I need to find an ally, somebody in this room who can take me and who can find an easier way out of the situation. And then when it came to pushing, no thoughts. Not even a question of when, why, how, what, not none of that. It was just complete silence in my mind. And so every contraction, I felt the strong urge to push. So I was in the standing position, leaning forward on the bed. Nitin was sitting on the bed. He was like, do you want to hold my hand? Why don't you bite my hand? And I was like, no, that's going to cause you pain. I'm not going to do that. And Melanie is sitting on a stool, you know, in the same room, and she's typing away at all the vitals that Hope has been checking, which basically it's the baby uh, heart rate, which they're recording every now and then. And Melanie, you know, keeps saying, "Pressure? You feeling pressure?" So pressure is a lovely thing. It's a good thing. Lean into it. It's a good thing. And I'm like, you know, listening to it and fading in and fading out and no thoughts. right? No reactions, none of it. Just not
Internally.
even, it's nothing. It's literally my body is doing this, Divya. And
Mm.
I was in a space where there were no more thoughts or talk or self talk or any of that coming to me. I was thinking to myself that I had this huge fear that I might tear, all of that. Not even that fear didn't even exist at that point. It was all beyond me, right? Um, so, anyways, pushed, I think, for about 45 minutes or so in that different position, still standing. Then Ira's head emerged first, and
Mm.
the thing is, they had a mirror below. Hope was sitting on the floor right behind me. She's all ready with her towels and everything. Nitin is sitting on the bed right in front of me, and he's like, tears are streaming down. He's like, bite my hand if you have to. And I'm like, no, that's gonna hurt you. I'm in so much pain, but it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna bite you. That just feels really, Sheru's hanging out right next to me. There's all of that. And Melanie's typing away, and she's like, every time I vocalized, my vocalization started to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Uh, and at one point, Hope was like, try to use that energy that you're expending through your vocal cords, send it down. And so I tried that um, for a few contractions. And then she was like, I can see the head, I can see the head, I can see the head. And she was like, touch. Why don't you touch the baby's head? And something in me, I was like so fearful of touching the baby's head that I was like almost in denial that it's happening, right? So I didn't want to jinx it by touching the baby's head. So I was like, she's like, it's here, it's here. Few more contractions happen, more pushing happens. I'm still standing. Melanie's walking across the room. She's basically taking some pictures and a video and all of that. And I'm like, I'm not even there, right? I'm very much there, but at the same time, not there. It was the strangest feeling. And then baby's head emerges. Um, and then we wait, you know. Uh, there was another two contractions before her body completely came out. Those two contractions, Melanie walked up and she was like, hmm, why don't you just lift your left leg and put it on top of the bed? So I put my left leg on top of the bed. She was out. There was meconium because she had pooped inside me.
Mm.
Um, Nothing, perfectly red baby, fine. They just basically,
Wiped.
wiped her in a towel and literally had me, you know, sit on the bed. But I was in such a state of shock that she was finally out that I didn't know how to get on top of the bed. I'm standing in front of the bed, Divya. It's like, I'm like, Hope, I don't know how to get on the bed. And so she's like, just this leg, just lift this leg, put it in. And they slowly just put me on the bed, put the baby on me. I had my top on, take the top off and put the baby on me, put a towel on and the baby. And we just sat there. I look at Nitin and I'm just in a state of, did this actually happen?
Yeah,
I'm in that place.
yeah. That's the I want to um explain that feeling of shock and that feeling of what happened. It's called the birth pause. So women
Yeah.
after having given birth sometimes need a few seconds because you've been feeling such a strong primal energy. It is like you've been trying to, explain what it felt like not being here, feeling so much. Um, just to now expel all of that energy and to feel your body back the way it was, and also to feel yourself. You'd gone somewhere else. Now you're coming back into your body, and women take that just a small pause, and they don't want to do anything. They don't want to touch their babies. Maybe just they're just quiet, and yeah, and they
Yeah.
don't know what to do, and that's very
I
normal.
didn't like she put, Hope put the baby on me, and I was like I needed to even balance my own body to sit down. Like I didn't even know how to kind of just, and I look at Nitin and he's like, oh my God, she's here, and he has tears, and I'm like looking at him and I'm like, in a state of, quite a state, of of myself. And in the meantime, Ira's like, she came out. It was beautiful. She had a little squeaky cry, and she came out, and that's it. She was calm after that. She was put on me, and she was fine. She was just like a little bit, you know. But Hope, Melanie, and that sense of relief I felt after she was born was incredible. And it took, I think, the next 15 minutes, I started to come alive. The endorphins started to kick in the most amazing way. I felt like if I can do this, I can do anything. Um, so I'm sitting on the bed, baby skin to skin. Nitin's there. Hope, Melanie are sort of just walking around. Melanie has already started to wrap things up. Basically, uh, you know, get everything sorted to kind of do the baby little checks that they kind of do. Not anything major, just literally to measure the baby and things like that, right? Measure the
On
baby
you, while the baby was on you all
while
along.
the
Ira
baby
was
was
on
on,
you.
not away. But they just kind of put all that, the things that they wanted to use on the bed. They didn't take the baby away. I mean, it was just putting all of that, laying everything on the bed. And then they just left the baby with us for the first hour and a half. But where Ira was born 12:21, it was lunchtime. And Melanie was like, "What would you like to eat? What can we get you?" And I said, "I want, I don't know what, like anything. I want cake, or I
Mm,
want something,
mm.
nice." And Nitin was like, "I'm going to order some, a sandwich from a, really nice place, and some salad and whatever for you guys as well. Um, can I just place an order?" And he did. He placed an order, and lunch arrived. We had lunch on the bed with baby on me. Hope, Melanie took a break. They sat in our dining room. They ate. They caught up on their text messages. They basically were catching up with their children, you know, spouses, etc. And then they come up, and then they did a placenta tour. Um, so basically, my
Did you have
placenta
placenta? Yeah, 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 yeah.
is
Please
what I
do.
want to get into
Yeah.
next, which
Yes.
is the placenta arrived 20 minutes, 25 minutes after baby's birth.
On its own, or did you pee, or did you?
On its own. On its own. Hope did a little bit of a fondle massage, is what it's called.
Yeah.
But she
Fundal.
basically just moved.
Did she massage your belly? Just that.
She massaged my belly. Yeah,
Yeah. She brought on a contraction, a little
yeah.
stronger one to help it and most likely it must have already been out. So just to
She,
expel it.
yeah. So and then baby was on me for about 15 minutes or so. So she, was trying to see if baby was going to latch, and baby did latch, was suckling a little bit, and that also helped release the placenta. And so, in about 25 minutes or so, the placenta. So she said, you know what? You're not going to feel anything. It's very soft. It's not bony like the baby. You may just need to just breathe and push it out in one go. So I think it's already here. I can see it, she said. Can you just take a deep breath and just do a mild push? And I said, okay, I did a mild push and it was out. It was all out and it was all in one piece. She kind of checked it and she said, it's all, it's all here. Um, and that's it. So that's kind of what it was. And what a sense of relief. The cord was still on the baby. We didn't clamp the cord or cut the cord until maybe 2 hours later. It had gone completely opaque by the time we did, and I wanted delayed cord clamping because I'd heard a lot about that and researched a lot about it and asked for it specifically. But also, as midwives, it is kind of what it's their practice. They don't do that
It's
at all.
it's safer to do that. It's safer to not cut the cord
Yeah,
immediately after birth and to let it stay on till it's completely white and it reduces in size as it comes in contact with the air. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah, midwife will never do that because that's her safety. That's what brings on safety in a home birth.
yeah,
Following the nature's process. Yeah.
yeah. And so it was lovely when it was ready. I think Nitin and I had spoken about if he was interested. I had asked him to cut the cord because it's kind of symbolic. In parenting, mothers play the role of nurturers and soothers, and really are the primary attachment figure. If you have read anything or know anything about attachment theory and sort of the psychology behind all of it, and the father plays the role of separation, and basically they help with separation by playing with the baby. So they play a pivotal role in kind of bonding through play, and while doing that, they basically are in some ways giving the mother time away from baby, and so it's kind of a symbiotic relationship, right? So it's symbolic. So I asked him, and he was like, "Yeah, absolutely, yeah, I would love to cut the cord." And so they had a little mini scissor, and then they cut the cord. Um, so it was all lovely. And so I had my time with baby, skin to skin, and then she latched, she fed, she latched, she fed some more, she latched, she fed some more. Um, and then I think, Hope offered me, if I wanted to take a bath or wash myself or any of that, or it's fine if you just wanted to kind of get dressed and put on different clothes, that's also fine. She said, offered me the option, and I said, absolutely, I'd like a hot shower now. And so she assisted me out of the bed, and she had warned me. She said, hey, you know what? Your organs will be in different places now. Okay. So you're going to feel a little bit like, you know, little different
Wobbly. Yeah, you'll be
walking.
wobbly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting because I got out of bed and I felt much lighter in the sense that I was like, not carrying baby anymore, and all of the fluids and all the other things, associated with that. And went into the shower. Hope stood right next to me through the shower. Melanie was busy, sort of, clean up and taking everything, sort of pumping the water out of the birth pool, and Nitin was trying to sort of, he was with baby at the time, and so he was doing skin to skin with Ira while I was taking a bath. So I took a nice hot shower, got out. I felt so high from the experience. Hope was amazing. She had laid all of my postpartum things in a little area. I'd basically put it in a basket and sort of put everything there. They had drops to go in the peri bottle, which were herbal drops of, for the healing of the perineum.
Mm.
They took a look at sort of the area, the perineum, to see if there were any tears and things. And I did have a second degree tear. Um, and so Hope was like, look, I can, put a stitch in, or I mean, I would feel good, comfortable if, I would put a stitch in. I think it'll heal really fast. You don't have to worry about it. And I didn't even care at that point. I was like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't even matter. I've done the I've done so well and I'm feeling so good. And it's all the endorphins that was making me feel that way. But when I got to the bed, and I had actually shared this with Hope long time ago, that I have a fear of needles. Um, so then I asked Hope if I really need the stitch, or if it'll heal by itself. But the way in which the skin was sitting against each other, she felt that although she could see the muscle, it was kind of in a place where it was sitting very naturally together. So if you just
Yeah.
allowed it rest, it would just kind of go back
Stick back
intact to
together.
what it
Yeah.
was, right? But she said, can you promise me that you're not going to go downstairs and you're not going to go, because my room is just a flight of stairs up. And so she said, you're not going to get out of bed for 2 weeks. I mean, you're going to get out of bed, but you're just
Yeah.
going to walk
Just
like,
the washroom.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. So I said, absolutely, I can promise you that. Um, and she said, I'm going to come and check on you every day, which she did. And I didn't need any stitches. It healed very naturally on its own. Uh, Nothing at all. It was a second degree, but nothing was needed.
Did you
And
have a routine for the perineum, for the tear care?
yeah,
If you could share that. Yeah.
so yes, um, the herbal sitz bath. So basically, putting this concoction, boiling all of these herbs together, which interestingly has garlic and I think
Mm.
rosemary and lots of different really good
Yeah.
herbs. So I had a postpartum doula who was lovely, who was referred by Hope. Her name is Rosavera. Lovely, lovely, lovely postpartum doula from Ghana, but she's practiced here in uh, California for many years. She grew up here, and she was just wonderful presence coming in. But Hope and Melanie both continue to come and visit me for the first 10 days, pretty much every day. For the first week, they were there every day, taking a look at baby, talking to me, asking me how I'm doing. They would basically come in and sit on my bed and we would talk, and that's the consultation. It was so lovely.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think the placenta tour was lovely, basically, to show you the parts of your own placenta and what your body is created. And Hope was like, we call it the tree of life. And here's the part that attaches to you, and here's the part that attaches to baby. And look at all of it. And I got to kind of touch it and thank
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and say a little prayer, because it was something that connected me to baby, and vice versa, and it did a lot of work to keep
It
her in
did.
there.
Yeah. It's the
It played a
first
huge role.
mother. Yeah. The angel, the guardian.
Yeah, so I did that. Part of their sort of service is also to kind of advise you on placentas and sort of encapsulation if you're interested in that, or creating tinctures and the rest of it. And I really wanted to do that because of the research that I'd heard, not only with postpartum depression or that, but also how it can help you through menopause and perimenopause much later in life.
We had to stop right here because Ira was completely restless by then, and we are so grateful to Ariel to take out all this time for her contribution to the podcast. And we will continue from the placental tour, from the placenta tincture, and the postpartum. We'll discuss postpartum in detail, the postpartum care that Ariel received, the Ayurvedic foods that she made, Nitin's journey of being a father and coming from the experience of labor into fatherhood, and how that what that meant for him, and seeing his partner Ariel recover and go through the different emotions, what that felt for him. So we'll discuss that in part 3. Stay tuned.
There is a field beyond fear, where the body is empowered to take on labor and birth. To land there, it is crucial to take birth education. To enroll into our unique labor and birth preparation course, reach out to us at www.birthagni.com or scroll through all available prenatal and postnatal preparation classes. Thank you for listening, all in the spirit of birth, womanhood, and freedom. Remember, you got the power. This podcast is about physiological birth and does not offer or claim to provide medical knowledge or diagnosis.